It's always been the standard perception that violence in video games leads to violence in teenagers. Hey, welcome to WatchMojo.com. I'm your host, Derek Allen, and today we spoke to Dr. Lawrence Kuttner, who has studied this topic, and he's going to tell us that there's maybe more to the subject that we don't know. So can you tell us a little bit about Grand Theft Childhood?
Grand Theft Childhood is a book that my wife and partner in this wrote based on a research study we did that took about 2 years. It was funded by $1.5 million from the United States government to look at violence in video games and whether kids who play violent video games are at greater risk for acting out violently in the real world. And what we did was a complex survey of approximately 1,250 7th and 8th grade students, everyone who showed up in class those particular days. It was a good representative sample in multiple states in the U.S., plus 500 of their parents, plus some other things, to find out what they played, why they played, where they played, when they played, with whom. Were any of those functioning as markers of which kids are more likely to get into trouble with common behavioral problems? Things like getting into fights after school, things like having problems with grades, being a bully or being bullied.
And I'm curious, is that such a controversial issue? What exactly did you guys find in the study?
Violence in schools has gone down and gone down dramatically in the U.S. over the past 20 years. The coverage of violence has gone up. And so there's this perception that schools are more dangerous than they used to be, and they really are not at all. There are relatively few incidents, but they get a lot of coverage. That's why we wanted to look at the more common issues, like bullying, like problems in school, like destroying property, which affect a lot more kids, and to see if that was a marker. First of all, for most kids, there isn't a problem playing M-rated games. However, we found that those kids who played a lot of M-rated games, that is, they listed them among their favorite games and they played them for more hours, that they were at greater risk for having a bunch of these more common problems. Now, you have to understand this does not mean that playing these games causes these problems. It may be that the kids who are attracted to violence in the real world are also attracted to these games. It may be a third problem or a third issue going on that's controlling both of them. We don't know. But we did find that if you wanted to predict which kids are more likely to get into trouble, looking for kids who play more M-rated games among their favorites and play, for example, more than 15 hours per week, they are at greater risk.